Okay, here we are at PettyMuseum again, Richard, and this is your trophy from Pocono. We was at Pocono yesterday from 1976. That makes you an old man.
We accidentally won another race, right?
No, it was...
No, I think that was the second one. We won what, 74, 73, 74. First time NASCAR went up there, we won the race.
That would have been 73.
Okay, whatever.
But we won. But you won a race. We was up there in 72, 71, 72 with USAC, and you won the one in 72. So we had a little bit of experience on NASCAR when we first got there.
Yeah, we already knew great long straightaway, sharp turn, go down and go across the tunnel, up the deal. So we already knew it was sort of halfway of a road course, because every one of the corners were completely different. So, and that part of it's not changed.
But before we get into the race, have you ever seen so many people at Pocono before, Richard?
That was the biggest crowd I think that I've ever seen. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it was.
They were still coming in when they started the race.
And there was people that wasn't even watching the race. I hope they was enjoying themselves. But it was quite a race. And you mentioned road course. It turned into a strategy race also.
Yeah.
Because they could stop and make their pit stops before the stages, and it put the leader at kind of a handicap.
Well, yeah, just because you run fast didn't really mean a whole lot, because it's according to how you made your pit stop. Where they made a pit stop before you did, you made a pit stop before somebody else did, and every one of the stages was a different race. And
yeah, that was.
Then even the last stage and stuff, once they made their pit stops and they done their strategy, some people stopped a little early, some people stayed out and looking for a caution flag or something, and so then it wound up, an 11 car. I watched the race and didn't see him all day long.
He was in a green car.
And, maybe he blended with the crowd.
Okay.
But anyhow, when all the strategy and all the circumstances of everybody having trouble or not having trouble, the 11 wound up winning the race.
Yeah.
And not necessarily the quickest car or the fastest car, it might have been the quickest.
He is the first one there.
Well, the main deal is the third checkered flag, and he was the first one to get it.
But it's probably, I don't know where you ever have before, but it's the first time we got lucky enough to get in a pretty nice suite. First time I've ever watched the race up there from that side, and I just didn't realize how big the track was and how far away when they go through the tunnel turn that you are from the from the cars.
I hope the spectators can see better than me and you, because we just seen dots. We didn't know who was who. But it made it really interesting by being up there. First time I'd ever been up there and looked at the whole racetrack. I used to run the racetrack and never really thought about it being that long, because you got down them straightaways pretty quick and them corners was sharp, and so it was kind of a racetrack that you was busy all the time, even though it's a big racetrack.
Well, you wasn't shifting when we was there. You imagine how busy the drivers are now shifting gears. But when we first went into Daytona in 1959, seen how big that place was. And this place, to me, even today, seems bigger than Daytona.
I think you could put all of Daytona inside.
Well,
that's how big it looks.
If you fit it just right, it probably would go. But
but anyhow, the race part was interesting because of the way the people had different strategies.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy'd be running dead last or something, or back in the pack, and everybody else would stop, and the first thing you know, he's leading the race. And of course, then when he stops, he goes to the back. But it was just according to when they had the cautions or when everybody else stopped. So everybody had a little bit different strategy. Like the 5 car, he spun out to begin with, and then his strategy put him right back up front until I think the 11 car got into him a little bit, kind of messed him up because he was leading the race.
Yeah, and
just because he had a completely different strategy.
But it was forced on him when he spun.
Well,
and it worked out for him. Yeah.
Yeah, if they had a game plan, that went out the window.
Exactly.
They had to wing it.
I guess there was 3 restarts there. They didn't get past the first corner. And we was on the other end of the track and couldn't see nothing. And the television was up where we couldn't see very good. Yeah. But we was pretty comfortable like we are right now, and laid back watching the race. And, they eliminated the stages on the road courses. And I'm not sure they don't need to do it at Pocono. And I mean, we're not the rule makers, but I think.
But when you watch the race, where we could see, the first thing you know, they're spread out all the way around the racetrack.
Exactly.
And a lot of them are not even close to each other. So the stages do put everybody back, and also changes your strategy. If they just run this race straight through like we used to, then you've got strategy. But if you're not careful, and we've been up there a bunch of times, the strategy with the gas mileage winds up winning and losing a bunch of races up there.
And of course, they was running their tanks low yesterday, and their pit stops, they can change tires about 2 or 3 seconds quicker than they can the gas.
Fill up.
And they have to stay and fill up. So it was something we hadn't seen lately in racing other than the road courses we've been to. And of course, we got a couple of road courses coming up.
Well, now that we got through with this deal here, we're going to go to Richmond. It's going to be a completely different situation. Strategy there is somewhat important, but the main deal there is having a good handling race car.
I hope they kind of forget aerodynamics and can
work on handling.
Yeah, but the 43 had a decent day and run good all day and stayed somewhat out of trouble. He bent the car a little bit when the 22 wrecked. Yeah. He got into it, and just his strategy was working, and then the caution come out and got him messed up. But all in all, it was a good day for the 42 and the 43, and then the 42 finished, and didn't tear up nothing. But I don't know how much they do tear up by running them cars so low underneath, and the expensive part of the car is the belly pan now, is what they tell me and you.
And I think they have to, even the winning cars got to put a new one on every race, because they run them things so low, a gnat, they keep the track clean just by kind of scrubbing the thing. So anyhow, they're not going to have to worry about the aero deal as much at Richmond. It's just more of a handling racetrack. Of course, the downforce really makes a lot of difference as far as the handling, but you're not running 160 or 70 miles an hour like you did at Pocono. So that's going to change that strategy.
At Pocono, I believe they was going in the corner around 191 mile an hour or something.
Wow.
And I guess an airplane can take off at that speed, and these things are still going down the straightaway and turning. But I guess it was a race, a festival for some people, a cookout, a campground, and I don't know what it was, but it was big. It was big for NASCAR and the racetrack. I'm sure of that.
It really was, because, like I say, that's the biggest crowd I can remember seeing up there. And from that standpoint, it should help the next race at Richmond. Because people are getting excited about the thing. So
especially the television fans too, and of course the race goers too. They're looking for and I guess there was a helmet throw and maybe a fist or two.
We had a little bit of everything. It looked, if you looked at it from 1,000-mile deal, looking down, it looked more like a short track, because the people were knocking each other in the wall, throwing things, and most of the times that just happens on, places like Richmond.
I'm repeating myself, but it's something we hadn't seen before, but it was close to a road course. It was in between a road course and an oval.
It's the closest track if it wasn't a road course. Closest thing we run. Because I would have got tired changing gears as many times as they had to change gears. You'd had to put an automatic in for me.
But you'd have stayed awake, I'll tell you that.